I'm Kimberly Kerr.
And I'm Andrew Findley. Thanks for joining us for News 5 at 10. First on 5, a celebration of nature drew thousands of people to an Eastern Shore town today. The 16th annual Earth Day celebration in Fairhope took place this weekend. The idea is to open the door to nature in a way that you may never have thought about. News 5's Glenn Austin has details in tonight's top local story. Good evening, and thanks for joining us for News 5 at 10. I'm Andrew Findley.
In Lusher Park, Andrew Findley, News 5.
Good evening, and thanks for staying up late with us. I'm Andrew Findley.
And I'm Jennifer Merrily. First on 5.
What do your neighbors think about the continuing U.S. military presence in Iraq? News 5 photojournalist Rodney Trahan went to Battleship Park to get some opinions. The Bush administration has steadfastly refused to put a timetable on when it might start pulling U.S. troops out of Iraq. The SAT test can make or break a student's plans for college, but it turns out the company in charge of scoring the exams made some mistakes, thousands of them, that gave students lower scores than they should have gotten. News 5 national correspondent Randall Pinkston has the story. A new movie has taken the lead at the box office with a vengeance. In a moment, we'll tell you which movies made the most money this weekend. This is the 16th year Fairhope has hosted Earth Day activities at the Municipal Pier. State troopers are investigating an early morning wreck that killed a man from Saraland. Troopers say 37-year-old Marcus Barry Goodson was killed in a one-car accident on Highway 45, about 10 miles south of Citronelle. It happened around 2:15 this morning. No one else was involved. The city of New Orleans may soon have a new mayor. In Saturday's election, no candidate received more than 50% of the votes to win outright. So the top two candidates will face each other in a runoff next month. News 5 national correspondent Jennifer Miller reports. A roadside bomb killed 3 American soldiers today. The explosion hit their vehicle northwest of Baghdad. So far, 8 Americans have been killed in Iraq this weekend. 5 died yesterday in the bombings in the southern area of the capital. The Pentagon has not yet released their names. At least 7 Iraqis were killed and 8 more wounded this morning after 3 explosions near the heavily guarded Green Zone in Baghdad. The Green Zone is where Iraq's parliament meets and the U.S. and British embassies are located. The explosions caused by either mortars or rockets were heard across the city. Elsewhere in Iraq today, 23 Iraqis are known dead, including several whose bodies were found in Baghdad. They were apparently killed while in captivity. Police in South Bend, Indiana are mourning the death of one of their own tonight. 36-year-old Scott Severns, who was South Bend's Officer of the Year for 2004, was shot and killed Friday night during a robbery attempt. Investigators say Severns was walking down the street with a female companion when 2 teenagers tried to rob them. Severns managed to injure one of the attackers, but was mortally wounded himself. One suspect is in the hospital with a bullet wound. The other is in jail. Authorities are blaming a lightning strike for a fire at a grain silo in Ohio. It happened last night in London, Ohio. More than 10 fire companies responded to the 2-alarm blaze. The grain elevator was in the process of being demolished and had been out of service for several years. No one was hurt.
Looks like bad weather in Ohio, great weather here in Mobile this weekend.
Exactly. We saw the bad weather on Friday, and we could possibly see some more strong thunderstorms on Tuesday and Wednesday. I'll have details on that coming up after the break.
Many Americans like to drive large vehicles, but soaring gas prices may make small cars big again. With gas prices nearing $3 a gallon now, bigger is not necessarily better when it comes to vehicles. As the News 5 consumer team's Christopher King tells us, we may be seeing more mini cars on the road in the coming months.
We are getting greater than tropical storm force winds here in Lusher Park, just off Dog River here in Mobile, a little bit south of I-10, just off Navco Road. 49.4 miles per hour, almost 50-mile-an-hour gusts right now. And, well, this thing just shut itself off. I think we may have overloaded our wind meter here. Whitecaps on Dog River right now. You can see for yourself just how hard the wind is blowing. And hear it, too. Small objects are being blown around. There's a lot of garbage here in the park. We've seen some plastic garbage cans rolling around being blown. Some snapped oak trees over there, an uprooted one there in the water. Of course, that pavilion is cut off over here just at the end of the boat ramp. There's no way you can get to it unless you've got waders on. Meanwhile, there's I believe that's a City of Mobile barge over here. I recognize the city's logo. They must have brought it here for safety. Meanwhile, the football field over here is a little bit better suited for water polo than football. Oddly enough, with the winds blowing at 50 miles an hour, there are still some people out here who have come out in their car to drive around and see what it's like. We do not advise that. Don't do it. With 50-mile-an-hour winds out here, your car can get blown around. It's dangerous to be outside right now. But, and we haven't seen the worst of it yet, we believe. We'll be here and in other parts of Mobile covering the wind, letting you know how bad it's going to be, and bringing you updates on damage and conditions. For now, in Lusher Park, Andrew Findley, News 5.
It's microscopic organisms like these that could be affected most. ConocoPhillips wants to build an LNG facility about 11 miles south of Dauphin Island at Compass Port. The company would use an open-loop system to convert natural gas from a liquid state back to gas.
We don't need open loop in the Gulf of Mexico.
Baywatch director Casey Calloway opposes the open-loop system because she says these tiny organisms would be sucked in along with Gulf water and destroyed.
Open loop system sucks in the ocean water, so it uses Gulf water to reheat the natural gas that's at negative 260 degrees presently. The facility will eat up plankton, it will eat up eggs and larvae of fish that are developing, and then very importantly it'll eat up the food that the fish need to eat to survive.
ConocoPhillips is funding 3 years of testing by the Dauphin Island Sea Lab to find out just how much the ecosystem would be affected. This device, called a mini-nest, will be towed behind this research vessel, and it will take samples at different depths in the water to find out what kind of sea life could be sucked into an intake pipe at the proposed LNG plant. Sea Lab Director Dr. George Crozier says the testing may be able to identify layers in the Gulf that don't have as many microorganisms.
If they're able to engineer to take the empty layers and use that water, then the impact to our fisheries may be minimal.
The environmental impact of the open-loop intake could play a big role in deciding if ConocoPhillips will get the permits it needs to build the LNG terminal. In Dauphin Island, Andrew Findley, News 5.
Beulah Battery, known as the seafood capital of Alabama, is still struggling to recover from Hurricane Katrina. But the vocation the town is best known for, shrimping, has perhaps been hit the hardest. In fact, some wonder if shrimping for a living will someday be gone with the wind.
And right now, if you ride around, you don't see a whole bunch of people working. Half the community is like gone from the hurricane.
It appears to be dying a slow death is what it looks like.
More than 6 months after Hurricane Katrina roared through Beulah Battery, the town is eerily quiet.
Well, the hurricane, took about 70% of our housing away from us in Beulah Battery. So, those people initially moved out looking for just any place to stay, and they went to friends and relatives in neighboring states or to the north, and most of them hadn't come back.
Greg Marshall runs a marine supply store in the bayou. He says he knows fewer people are shrimping because it affects his business.
We've probably lost, I'd say, at least 30 of those boats because they're just no longer in business. And those people have all gravitated to other jobs, be it construction or whatever they can find. But we're losing shrimpers and crabbers and oystermen every day. Well, the hurricane, took about 70% of our housing away from us in Beulah Battery. So, those people initially moved out looking for just any place to stay, and they went to friends and relatives in neighboring states or to the north, and most of them hadn't come back.
Me personally, I don't see it coming back no time soon.
So what's driving shrimpers out of the business and many out of the bayou? Well, it seems it's the usual suspects that have been putting a squeeze on them for years.
The imported shrimp and the fuel prices combined have just about decimated our industry. And on top of that, we had Hurricane Katrina, which obviously put the shrimpers all back about 60 days in their operations. And then we still have 34 boats sitting up on land. We're looking for anything that can be a shining star for us right now.
Marshall says he hopes the federal government will place price restraints on imported shrimp to help bring the price back up. He also says the owners of 34 shrimp boats that are still on dry land are still waiting for Governor Riley to come through on his word that the state will find the money to help put those boats back in the water.
and the breeders intend to carry on until they've achieved the ultimate pocket-sized pig.
Or piglet, if you
Right,
prefer.
I wonder who would want a pocket-sized pig. Or if they're not as smelly or dirty?
Pygmy pig, I don't get it.
I don't get it either.
We have a little rain coming tomorrow. Just keep up with the forecast. Small possibility of strong thunderstorms. Otherwise, a good-looking week.
Sounds good. Thanks. And thanks for joining us tonight for News 5.
Good night from all of us at WKRG.